2026 World Cup is upon us in a matter of days, and in this video we're going to be predicting the whole entire tournament. Let's start in Group A, a competitive group, possibly the group of life given that there's no heavy hitters. Mexico can definitely be happy with this one. I think they can definitely win this group. You would imagine that they should win at least 2 of their games. I think they'll get second. South Africa 2023-24 they were overachieving. They were the World Cup was them, then they could possibly get second or maybe even challenge for first, but their attackers weakened. They're still difficult to break down. They're going to be competitive, but I just don't think they're going to get second place. South Korea, not as good as they were, but I think they are starting to improve a bit. And having watched a documentary prior to recording, there's expectation on this side back home. And then Czech Republic got here having surprisingly beat Denmark on penalties, 2 penalty shootouts in a row to qualify. They'll definitely be another team that's difficult to break down. The goal scoring is an issue. However, they do have Patrick Schick to help them out. I do think we'll see these teams take points off each other. Maybe perhaps one of them can do something against Mexico. I think we'll see South Korea second. I'll go Czech Republic third and South Africa fourth. Group B, Canada, another host nation. This is a team that doesn't have as much expectations on them as the other host nations, but I still think they can compete well. Bosnia, they got here having stopped Italy from qualifying, and they even beat Wales on penalties too. I think this is certainly a free hit for them, having this been the first time they qualified since 2014. Edin Dzeko still going. Qatar, managed by Julian Lopetegui. Again, for the second World Cup, again, another free hit for them given expectations. The defence is a problem. I don't have optimism here. And Switzerland, they can definitely be very happy with this group. Akanji and Xhaka are still going strong for them. We've got manager and also a well-structured squad overall. My predictions is I think Switzerland will get first. I think Canada's getting second. Bosnia third, and Qatar in fourth. Group C, Brazil, with Carlo Ancelotti, things are starting to look up since a shaky qualification. Certainly the appointment they needed, certainly someone that can harmonise the fans and the squad. Definitely help get Vinicius Jr. in the right frame of mind. Morocco, they got to the final of the Africa Cup of Nations in their home country. For sure, one of the top 2 of Africa. They've definitely progressed even more since getting to the semi-finals of the World Cup in Qatar. And then you got Haiti, who are a debutant, and then Scotland. McTominay is their best attacking player. Aside from that, the goals are certainly a question mark. I would expect them to give some fair performances in the games that they'll be underdogs in. Haiti might be a difficult team for them to break down, but I think they should still have enough. Morocco, I think, could finish above Brazil. They think they could in or draw. I think the safest bet is to say that Brazil will at least have the better goal difference. I think they'll get first. Morocco will be just behind them in second. Scotland third. Haiti fourth. Now this is a competitive group D, where the USA are up against 3 teams that they played friendlies against prior to the World Cup draw. Paraguay they beat. Australia they beat. Turkey they lost to. The USA, things seem to be looking up for them since they deployed a back 3 formation, barring that Belgium loss. I do think they should at least get top 2, but then again, all these sides are in contention for that. Paraguay, when their manager Gustavo came in, he managed to turn a side that had been rock bottom of CONMEBOL, and he managed to get them to compete against the better South American nations. So fair play to them. However, you could argue they're a side that thrive more as underdogs than when they're favourites, like against some of these smaller teams. they've had one or two blows to injury, so that's going to affect their chances. Australia managed to get to the knockouts last time. There'll be a similar sort of defensive threat that Paraguay have. And then Turkey qualified by getting through the UEFA playoffs. They've got some very good players such as Arda Güler. So this is going to be a difficult one to predict. My general feeling is that I think USA are going to get first place. Just behind them, I'll go for Turkey. I feel kind of quite bad putting Australia bottom, but I think Paraguay should probably have enough to finish third. But I don't think any of these sides are going to get 0 points whatsoever. They're all going to take points off each other. So then we look at Group E. Germany, not the strongest team that they were since they won the World Cup, although I would say they're in a better place post the last World Cup, and the Euros was a promising sign. There was some question marks on their squad, but my early thoughts are that they should get to at least the round of 16. Curacao, smallest nation to ever qualify. This is going to be a tall order for them to compete. But having Dick Advocaat as their manager is a boost. And then you've got two sides that are very good defensively with Ivory Coast and Ecuador. Ecuador defense definitely up there amongst the best in international football. Ivory Coast, as a Porto fan, I've seen Seko Fofana perform really well lately. Is going to be a very good midfielder for them. And then I'd probably say Ivory Coast's attack's a bit better overall. My thoughts in this game, I think Germany will get first. Though I think Ivory Coast are going to have a better goal difference, potentially, I think Ecuador will get second simply because I give them a better chance of getting a result against Germany. I think they'll get a draw there, and then Ivory Coast should get above Curacao, no problem. Then Group F, a competitive group. Netherlands, they've got a very good midfield. Reinders, De Jong, you could say Xavi Simons as well. There's another Dutch midfielder that slipped my head, but that's the piece of resistance, that area for them. With Netherlands, I think the attack's not that good. The defense is starting to fall, and the manager's not as good as he used to be. So I don't think Netherlands are going to go very far in this tournament. Japan, a very good team. They pretty much blitzed their World Cup qualifying campaign. They've shown very good performances against Brazil and England in friendlies. They have some past pedigree of playing well against European nations. Germany, Spain, Croatia are the big examples. And Sweden qualified through the World Cup playoffs. If Isak and Gyökeres and Elanga are at their best, they are a wild card in this group. And Tunisia, they're going to be difficult to break down. It's just they disappointed at the Africa Cup of Nations. And their attack's not going to be too much of a threat. So Tunisia, I expect them to finish bottom of the group. I expect them to have at least 2 close losses. But my first place, I think it's going to be Japan. I think they'll get 7 points from this group. I think they're going to probably bully Netherlands, or at least get a draw from there. Then if they do beat Netherlands, then chances are they'll draw to one of Sweden or Tunisia. Netherlands should have enough to beat the rest of the group. Then I've got Sweden to finish third, and then Tunisia bottom of the group. Next, we look at Group F, a favourable group for all of these sides. Belgium, they don't have most of the golden generation players anymore, but they showed, at least in qualifying, that they're definitely good enough to beat teams that they're expected to beat. You would expect the same here, despite being on the low end of the pot 1 teams. Egypt, they've got some Premier League attacking quality with Omar Mamouche and Mohamed Salah. I would expect Salah to be better than he was this season because he's in a more comfortable environment with Egypt. Iran are a wild card. They could finish absolutely anywhere in this group, barring first place. And New Zealand, for the most part, they should be happy with this group. On their day, they could sneak into the knockouts, but my thinking is Belgium first. Then I've got Egypt second. Then I think the safest bet is to say Iran will get there. New Zealand fourth, even though I have been considering that they could beat Iran. Then let's look at Group H. Spain, very strong midfield, one of the best wide players in the world, if not the best, with Lamine Yamal. Great depth of goalkeepers too. They should definitely have more than enough to top this group. Cape Verde, huge history with getting here, having. I mean, their group wasn't the strongest, but they still were in a competitive qualifying group. Cameroon aren't that good anymore, but they still got to the Africa Cup of Nations quarterfinals. Angola, whilst not at their best, they can compete among the better teams in Africa. And then Libya were on the right, have been on the right, especially with Senegal's former manager Aliou Cisse. So not only is this a great story for Cape Verde, but they qualified through a competitive group. Saudi Arabia, there is expectation for them to go one better than last time. However, the situation for them has been a bit of a mess. They even tried bringing back Hervé Renard, and he couldn't fix things. They could get through, but it's very questionable. And Uruguay on paper favourites to get second. However, if their heads in the right space and they play with the right competitiveness and energy, then they should be fine in this group. My prediction, I think Uruguay will get second. I think Cape Verde are going to get third place and Saudi Arabia fourth. There's a lot of quality in this group. France, a fantastic depth in attack and the defenders, and they should definitely go far in this tournament, especially with Mbappe, Olise, and Cherki, just to name a few. Senegal got to the final. Unofficial champions, showed on the pitch that they won that AFCON, and I'd say they proved they are the best team on the continent. Then Iraq, this isn't a group that they would have ideally liked to play in, but they have a manager who's experienced at taking Australia to World Cup knockouts, so that's going to be a boost. And even though I don't think they're going to win a game or even get a point, I still think he'll make it closer than expected. And then Norway, they've been on the rise, having Haaland, Odegaard, and even Sander Berg, and their squad's getting better too, so that's very promising. My thinking is we'll see France get first. I'll say Senegal gets second because my thinking is they'll be the ones to get a draw against France, and then Norway a third, but definitely one of the best third place teams, and Iraq will be in fourth place. Group J, Argentina, World Cup champions, qualified to the World Cup top incumbent. This is a fine group for them. Who knows? Maybe they might get one draw, but still should be enough with the quality. But most likely Lionel Messi's last World Cup, and then they've got players like Nico Paz, Julian Alvarez, and even substitute like Lautaro Martinez. They should win this group. Algeria, they're a good team in Africa. They've definitely stabilized with Vladimir Petkovic, and certainly that loss to Nigeria was a definite learning curve. I think they could certainly cause an upset in the knockouts. This game against Austria on the last day, it's going to be an exciting one. This could potentially go either way. Austria, they were fantastic at Euro 2024. Impressive wins against Poland and Netherlands. In the qualifiers, perhaps they showed that, or maybe the Nations League is a better example of where they tend to do better when they're underdogs. And you could certainly point to a few examples in the qualifiers, but they still top the group. And then Jordan, finalist of the Asian Cup, and if they'd been drawn in some of the other groups, then perhaps they would have had a better chance. But I think this is just going to be a bridge too far for them. I've got Austria in second, Algeria certainly third place, if not second, and Jordan, unfortunately for them, will be last. Then Group K, Portugal, Ivory Coast, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. Portugal, great 8 players, great options. Vitinha, Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, just to name a few. Diogo Costa in goal. Port also had a fantastic defensive record in the league that season. Costa's still going strong. He's even been linked to big clubs. DR Congo got here via the CAF and Intercontinental playoffs. A team that's very difficult to break down, although goal scoring is a concern. Uzbekistan's a wild card in this group. The Colombia, on paper, should get second, but goal scoring is a question mark for them. But they'll definitely have a lot of support. Portugal, sure enough, will get first. Colombia should have enough to get second. And then it really is who finishes third in that competitive group. I get the sense that Uzbekistan are going to get a result against Colombia, a win or a draw, and Colombia probably are second with 4 points. And then I think, needing a win, DR Congo are going to just about do it with a 2-1 victory, and I've got them to finish above Uzbekistan. Group L with my nation, England. Definitely happy with this group. I think no Harry Maguire, Lewis Hall or Cole Palmer in the squads. Definitely not something I would have done. But certainly in this group, this squad was definitely what you should have enough to get top 2 and have the better goal difference over Croatia. Croatia themselves should definitely get top 2 too. I think they have to beat England if they've got any chance of getting first because of that goal threat that England have. They just have better options and a bigger quantity of options too, especially up against these other teams. Ghana, Carlos Queiroz should make them better defensively, so I won't completely rule them out in terms of their chances of qualifying as a third place team. And Panama with their Danish manager Thomas Christiansen. Panama have definitely progressed and have established themselves as the 4th best North American team, but I think they probably could have asked for a better draw. So my predictions here, I think England will finish first, Croatia for sure second, then in third I'll say Ghana and Panama in 4th. Hopefully this should show up pretty soon. To be fair, I'm going to show my workings as to why I predict each of the teams to get through as third place teams, as you can see on the screens here. So now for predicting the bracket, Germany versus Paraguay. Germany should definitely have enough to get through. France versus Sweden. I've got France to win that. South Korea versus Canada, a difficult one because for a while I had Canada to win this, but I think South Korea are here to be competitive. This isn't even home advantage for Canada given the location and the fact that there are many South Koreans in that part of the US. I'll still give Canada the benefit of the doubt and give them like a narrow win over South Korea. Maybe it goes to extra time or something like that, or maybe a late 8 winner. Then Japan versus Morocco, these two teams both very capable of going on a deep run. A sort of a shame that they're both facing each other in my predictions. And I'm going to go against what most people would say in this one. And I've got Japan to win. Probably extra time. I think they're slightly better, or at least I would expect margins to go more in their favour, if that makes sense. But I think Japan will have just enough against Morocco. Then Colombia versus Croatia. First time I saw this, I thought this is going to be very close. the more I've seen in this potential matchup, the more I think Croatia's going to win this. Spain versus Austria. Austria's going to give Spain a difficult game, but I think Spain should still have enough to get through, even if it is just a 1-0. USA versus Algeria. I would not write Algeria off if this game happened. As good as they are, and I do think they're a top 5 team in Africa, I think USA should have enough to get through. Belgium versus the Czech Republic. I've got Belgium to go through. Brazil versus the Netherlands. I don't think the Netherlands, as good as they usually are in World Cups. So, and I think Brazil under Carlo Ancelotti should still allow them to be a stronger side and be difficult to break down. So I got them to go through. Ecuador vs Senegal, a rematch of the last World Cup when Senegal beat Ecuador to knock them out. I think that's going to happen again. Ecuador difficult to break down, but in most of the other areas of the pitch, I think Senegal are stronger. So I think they'll have enough chances to get the win against Ecuador. Then Mexico versus Ivory Coast, a competitive one. And maybe I'd back Ivory Coast if this was on neutral venue. But definitely the home advantage is going to help Mexico, and I think they can definitely use set pieces to their advantage. I've got them to win. England versus the DR Congo. DR Congo, as I mentioned, difficult to break down, but I think England still have enough to beat them. Argentina versus Uruguay. Possibly a pragmatic game. Uruguay's best ever win under Marcelo Bielsa was against this Argentina side, but I think Argentina will for sure win this one. Turkey versus Egypt, a competitive one, but I think Turkey are the stronger team here. Switzerland versus Iran. I've got Switzerland to win this one. Portugal versus Norway, a competitive one. Could even see an exciting, high-scoring game, but I still think Portugal will win this. Then we go to the round of 16. Germany versus France. France should win this one. Canada versus Japan. I don't think Canada have enough. This Japan side's very good. I've got them to make a run to the quarterfinals. Then Croatia versus Spain. Again, Croatia will be solid, but I think Spain should still win. And certainly in recent games, Spain have had a good record against Croatia, including in the Euros when they won that opening game 3-0. USA versus Belgium. USA lost 5-2 in a friendly to Belgium. Definitely both sides will be more up for it compared to this game. I was more confident in USA winning this like a few months ago, but I think I'll go to penalties, and I think the American dream will help continue and they'll beat Belgium on penalties. Next, Brazil vs Senegal. I'm tempted to pick Senegal here. I think they can really do something here. I think they'll make it close, but I think Brazil will be more efficient and get at the win here. Probably a 2-1 or something like that. Then Mexico versus England. What an atmosphere this would be. This could go all the way. This will be difficult for both sides, and Mexico have the home advantage, but I think England will go through. Argentina versus Turkey. Turkey have good players, but I've got Argentina to win this. Switzerland versus Portugal. Portugal should win this. If I was optimistic, or if Japan were at their very best, or if France weren't reliable, then I think Japan can knock out France. But I think France will still win. Even though I think Japan will give France a competitive game, France should have enough to get through, even if it's just by a 1-goal margin. Probably a 2-1, but I think France will get through. Spain versus the USA. This will be the end for the USA, but a successful tournament. Brazil versus England. This will be a good game. Still, I think England have the stronger team and will create more chances. Brazil have more limitations. I think England will have enough to beat Brazil. And then Argentina versus Portugal, a close one. I think this is a game where Portugal will play the better, but Argentina probably you have the margins and stay resolute and capitalize on their moments. So I got Argentina going through. France versus Spain. These are two strong sides. My feeling when deciding this is that France have great depth of attackers, defenders, but their midfield options are quite thin in depth, not the strongest of options. An aging Kante, Rabiot, Tchouameni and Camavinga, the two Real Madrid players aren't as good as they were. And Spain can bully that midfield. They can definitely take control, stop the supply of France's attack, and also be able to feed Yamal, Orzabal, Williams, whoever else they've got playing up front. I think that midfield battle's going to be where Spain get the win, and I've got them to reach the final. And then this other semi-final, England versus Argentina. I felt this would have been a close one for a while. I think prior to the squad, I was more confident in picking England, but I think Guehi and Konsa isn't that great of a partnership, even though individually both sides are good. Both players are good and have had very good seasons. Japan exposed the speed weaknesses that both of them have together, and I think certainly Harry Maguire would have been like a better defensive partner choice at centre back than Ezri Konsa, who I think could have also worked as a right back option. If this goes to penalties, I would definitely back us because I've said this before, but Jordan Pickford is just as good at penalty saving as Emiliano Martinez. And certainly England have a number of good penalty takers at their disposal. But I think this is going to be another game where Argentina, they make use of the margins and go through by a single goal. I'll give England the edge over France in the third place playoff. And my final, I'm going for Spain. I do believe they'll have a better team. Am I even sure that Argentina are going to get to the final? No, I think they'll have too difficult tasks to get there. So that's one reason of me not utter, although that's two reasons of why I think Argentina won't win it. Spain, they're going to make use of their pace. Having Yamal as this great difference maker is going to be huge. So yeah, I've got Spain to win this World Cup, especially because they've got potentially a favourable path to the semi-finals, and then if they play France, I think they can stop the supply in attack, and I do think they would beat Argentina or England, whoever got to that final. So that's my predictions overall. Let me know what you think. What are your predictions? I expect I'll be predicting match day 1 soon, so tune in for that. Come on, England.